Coming up soon, Chris and Stu will bring you all the latest in boxing, MMA and combat sports from around the globe. It's Powered 4 TV's powerhouse, Big Fight Weekly, 100% live. Here's some of the best clips of Big Fight Weekly from 2021.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is episode 2 of Powered 4 TV Big Fight Weekly. We cover it fast, quick, boxing, MMA, quicker than Phileas Fogg around the world in a hot air balloon, Chris. And here is my co-host, Chris Hume. How are you, Chris?
Steve Coogan. Yeah, not bad. That's great, yeah.
Big Fight Weekly, faster than a Lyosa Machida crane kick to the face, Chris.
Which one? Belfort or Randy Couture's?
They were both equally good, mate. I was probably gearing towards Couture, but you know he was aging as a fighter. Welcome. It's episode 4 of Powered 4 TV Big Fight Weekly with myself, Stuart Palmer, and my co-host, my cousin, Chris Hume, and we're going to give you a deep dive in boxing and UFC and MMA this week again. God, I couldn't get my words out then, could I? Christ alive. And I tell you what, I'll just get it in there now before I forget, quicker than a Kamaru Usman takedown.
A double leg.
In a few moments, we'll be live in the studio with Chris and Stu.
This is Liam McGarry, and welcome to the Big Fight Weekly.
But yeah, I mean, like, I worked in construction, mate. Like, the recession kicked in and everything stopped. I was delivering TVs for this company, Fortuna, and it was crap, you know what I mean? But at least I wasn't so tired, so I could finish work quickly and then go to the gym, train for about 5-6 hours, and then go home, you know? So yeah, it was just a timing thing, and I guess it was the right time for me to go forward and pursue this fight career.
Yo. This is Stephen USSR Robinson on Powered4.tv, a Big Fight Weekly for a special fight at Focus with Chris and Stu. Tune in. Boom!
And the whole USSR thing was, I think it was just a gimmick where we thought, right, you know, turn pro now, let's go off the back of the red and yellow, the Ivan Drago shorts, Rocky wasn't sensational hit. And I've been called it now for sort of 6 years within boxing, so we just decided to go along with it and you know give it a go and see how it went, and it's worked well.
Yeah, but you do look like him though, so you can't get away from that though. Right, yeah.
I'm trying to look for a photo of me real dad just to show you I look not where my man must have been at a Comic-Con back in 1990.
Where Dolph Lundgren, yeah.
Brilliant.
He can throw a few punches here and there and not have that worry that someone's going to take him down, because you don't want to be, you don't want to be on top of him, or you don't want him on your back, because he's like an anaconda, and he'll find a way to submit you. And like I say, he's one of the best in the UFC with jiu-jitsu, and I think he's got most wins in UFC with submissions as well. It's an interesting fight, and it is really like a tale of Dustin Poirier's cardio, Dustin Poirier's heart, all that shit he had to go through with Conor McGregor. He silenced Conor McGregor, let's just say, in the last 2 fights completely, showed his heart, his desire,
And even Chael Sonnen has chimed in this week as well. He's going for Woodley to win this. How do you see it going, Chris?
Well, personally, I wouldn't go off what Chael Sonnen says, mate, because Chael Sonnen's record when it comes to prediction, he gets it terribly wrong.
Somebody said that below, but yeah, I'm with Chael on this one, but yeah.
I just think he gets it wrong all the time.
So I'm Dave Faulkner, two-time World Submission Wrestling Champion, Tough 9 participant, World MMA Champion, and this is Big Fight Weekly.
Well, 4 people had staff on the show at once, and it was very close for the whole show to get closed down. But then they brought in this ginger girl who was like a life coach, and she was she told us to use PMA, positive mental attitude, and she said to it, and I'll quote, she said, "If you tell yourself you ain't got staff, then you ain't got staff." And two of the American kids, get on this though, 2 of the American guys who had staff, who were going, yeah, I totally believe that, man, I totally believe it. They actually didn't have staff after 4 days or something, so it must work.
Hey guys, this is Jake Cross, President of UK Fighting Championships and owner of Empire Grappling. You are now tuning in to the Big Fight Weekly.
I can lean on them and they can lean on me, whereas Empire is just me, and I have a really bad tendency not to delegate. I like to control too much, and that's not because I'm a control freak, it's because if you're going to do it right, do it yourself, and that's sort of, I just like live by that, and that's why it's getting to the point now where Empire is an animal. I have probably 60 staff on the day, which I can start to sort of lean on and delegate, but it all still comes back down to me. If there's a problem, it's there for me to fix.
You like the younger version of Vince McMahon or Dana White, Jay?
Do you want to be referred to as the English Dana White? I've been referred to the English Eddie, or the new breed of Eddie Hearn, which I would, if I make even 1% of what they've made, or even their success, I'll take that.
Hi guys, this is Thomas, professional MMA fighter, also ex-professional boxer. Make sure you tune in to the Big Fight Weekly this week. Awesome podcast, get involved.
Talking boxing, I'm going to say Marco Antonio Barrera. I used to love Ricky Hatton at the time because I was a big British boxing fan. And if I'm talking MMA, then I'm going to go with Chuck Liddell because he's the person who made me switch my boxing to MMA, and I just fell in love with the sport from then. Chuck Liddell when he fought Tito Ortiz, and then I was just, from then on, it was no looking back, and that was a long time ago. I started MMA when I was 31, so it's like I started late in my career, so I needed to get a move on, so yeah, I couldn't wait around too much to see what was going on there, so I just moved on, and got a few more fights, and then got HD management to sign me up on a management team, and then they looked after me from there. They got me all the fights, so I had some good management team.
This is your boy Chili Willie, ECW original, everybody's favorite homeboy, and yo, you need to check out the Big Fight Weekly.
Who does tougher training
on the body? Wrestlers, boxers, or MMA fighters? That's a good question. That is.
That is
Chili.
Really a good question. That's huge, man. Wow, I would probably say MMA fighters, just because they have to not just deal with their hands and their feet, but they have to deal with the wrestling, the grappling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a good long ride, hasn't it? We've had some absolutely fantastic fights, along the way since we started the show. You've got to jump out and say Brett Thomas and his constant Jake and Logan Paul, comments for the whole almost 12 months of us doing this. So there's been some sure good highlights.
Thank you to all the guests that have come on as well. We've had a few of them, haven't we? We've tried to mix it up. It wasn't just about reviewing, previewing. We've tried to mix it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for all the latest fight action. Direct from Wales in the United Kingdom, 100% live, it's Big Fight Weekly with your hosts Chris Hume and Stu Palmer.
I look into the mirror and all I see is failure staring back at me.
A warm welcome. It is the half century episodes, the 50th episode of Powerful TV Big Fight Weekly with myself, Stu Palmer, and my co-host and cousin Chris Hume. How are we, Chris?
50 episodes, mate. That's absolutely flown by.
The half ton, mate. The half ton, and we did have a break for a while as well. So yeah, not bad going at all. Also, this episode is in the memory of WWE Hall of Fame wrestling legend Scott Hall, who also went by Razor Ramon. Chris, what a guy, what a talent. He polarized the sport, didn't he? Went into pop culture. And yeah, Chris, just your views on Scott Hall. I'd like to hear him.
Christ, we're going back to wrestling, man, God. Well, back in the day when we were younger, obviously when I was more into it, Razor Ramon, you've got to look at his feud with Shawn Michaels. The ladder match obviously is iconic, isn't it? It was Intercontinental Champion versus Intercontinental Champion. I believe it was the first ladder match that WWE or F at the time did, wasn't it? That was the match, and that was an explosion. I think that was the match that really pushed and galvanized Razor Ramon into the sort of the hearts and eyes of us fans. And yeah, it's sad to see him go. You go you go to NWO and how iconic that was, and how that changed the wrestling scene. The Monday Night Wars, and it was a nut time to be a wrestling fan back in the day. Then in the 90s, maybe not me now, not so. Probably from the early 2000s is when I sort of moved on, but. Yeah, really sad to hear, someone that you watched as a kid, and he's still young as well. Thoughts and feelings to his family, and, sad times, but, what a guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was there at the Hall of Fame in New Orleans when he went in, when he got inducted on his own. Obviously, subsequently, the NWO went in after, but yeah, just... he's in a better place now. It's just so sad, and it makes you realised, doesn't it, what he did. I was watching him against Bret Hart in the King of the Ring quarterfinal from '93, Chris, and it was just before he'd lost to 1-2-3 Kid as well.
Right, okay, I remember,
Kid over.
Yeah.
He always seemed to step aside. If he saw a talent, he put talent over, Chris. A lot of guys were in the business for themselves, but he was in the business for the good of the business. And yeah, just incredible, to go from heel to face as well, Chris. That's not easy to do when you're overdoing both. Incredible.
I'm ruined Goldberg's streak with one little electric stick.
That hasn't come up, actually. That's a good point, because there's been a lot of stuff on socials. But yeah, just to encapsulate this episode is in the memory of Scott Hall. We're going into wrestling, I know, but you did say we needed to mention it as well, because so many people idolise the man.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, a lot of MMA fans, boxing fans, we all would have watched wrestling back in the 90s, and they would have, seen Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, the Outsiders, Diesel. They would have, seen these guys, in a heyday before everyone sort of grown up and moved on to other sports and what have you. So, it's nice to give a nod to someone that, maybe not in the sort of section we talk about is in MMA and boxing, but he's an icon. So, he's well just deserves a mention.
Absolutely. He's gone to the pearly gates, and yeah, so sad, but thoughts and feelings to his family, just to reiterate what you said. And Chris, are we going to get into it? Right, we've got UFC London coming up. It's a huge card, but we're going to review Leigh Wood versus Michael Conlan, Chris, for the WBA World Featherweight title. What a fight, Chris. Leigh Wood looked dead and buried early on in this one, but he came back. So much heart, so much will. Look at that graphic there as well. Michael Conlan was out, wasn't he, Chris? And you said, did somebody catch him on the way out? Because he looked like he blacked out there for that KO. TKO, should I say, actually.
I was worried because the way he fell when once Wood finished his combination and you saw Conlan fall down and come out the ring, he was like going backwards onto his head. And I was, you think, you still feel like shit. Hope someone caught him in that. But yeah, sure, it was a great fight. We talked about this last week about being a fight in a phone box. It truly delivered that type of fight. They were both up at each other's, their grill, if you want to say. They put on such an excellent fight. I've seen a lot of people tout this as fight of the year, Stuart. Now, obviously, I'd love to know your opinion on it.
It was just incredible, Chris. It was absolutely incredible. Michael Conlan, to his credit as well, he had a bad cut in round two. He kept going, but in round one when he dropped Wood, And Wood was gone, man. The legs had gone. So that just goes to show the heart, the fortitude, the intestinal fortitude of Wood. He came back, didn't he? And Conlan, he was setting traps almost. His eyes were saying one thing, but his actual actions and his punching was saying a total different thing. And Wood was puzzled a little bit early on, wasn't he? What did you think?
When he caught Woods for the first time, it was absolutely fantastic setup. He faked. Was it the left to go like for a body shot, but went high. I think it was with the right, with the hook wasn't the overhanded right, and it caught him sweet connection on that chin. And as you say, Woods just dropped. But fair dues to him. He got back up. He was a bit dazed, wasn't he? But the bell obviously just went as he went down. And he came back. But they were both catching each other. The combinations they were going from body to head to body. They weren't backing down from each other, and they were both just like putting it all on the line, eat the leather as much as you can and see who drops first. A few did drop first, but that was Wood's final blow. But it was the combination, Stuart, in that 12th round, just unloaded. It reminded me a lot of I'm going to segue to MMA here, but Stuart, but it reminded me of the Chuck Liddell Tito finish when he got him up against the cage and just unloaded on him. And Tito, obviously, like Conlan, didn't go to sleep but dropped. And obviously, it was a victory for Liddell, but it was very much like that sort of scenario. And it was, it's crazy to see, but, what a fight. What a fight.
He backed up Conlan as well. Later on, he realised, right, I can't give him the space. Not to say Conlan was struggling against the ropes, but that was working for him late on. He kept him against the ropes. He didn't have the freedom around the ring. So, yeah, it was good to see the adjustments through the fight. But if you ever want to see heart and will from two fighters, Chris, and Nottingham was rocking as well, wasn't it? A lot of Irish, as you say. We always have a big Irish contingent. What did you say earlier? What did you say about the Irish for a fight?
But they go everywhere. You could literally go where we are now, Stuart, in Wales, and massive mountains in the middle of nowhere, and you could put a fight on. And as long as there's an Irish, participant in this, there's about, hundreds and thousands of them. They're like ants, aren't they? Can't pour water on them. You can't burn them. They all just congregate together. But my God, they are fantastic fans, and watching through McGregor's career from, when I saw him in Cage Warriors and to the UFC, and the contingent he brought with him was like, felt like it was half of Ireland, if not the full force of Irish people from the country everywhere he went. But that's how good they are. Just watch, the Euro, Stuart, and how amazing they were. Is it Euro? Was it when Northern Ireland were in there?
2016 or was it last year's?
No, I think it was 2016. But they were amazing then as well. They come and they love it, and they love their icons. They love their sportsmen. You got to tip your hat to the Irish fans, Stuart.
I don't want to go round by round here. I'm just picking little segments up because we've got to get to UFC London, man. We have to put the shine on that, the amount of fights we've got coming up. But yeah, in round 11, in my notes here, great varied shots from Conlan. He came back. He did come back. But Wood was right back at him, as you say, the age-old adage, fighting a phone box, Chris. Wood started striking back as well, so it was quite a tight affair in the 11th. There was a knockdown, but I could hear Adam Booth in the corner saying he'd slipped.
Yeah, I think he did get caught. He did get caught.
I think he's grazed him there. He slipped. But yeah, I wanted to see your thoughts on that.
No, I watched it before. He did catch him. It wasn't a flush connection, but I think it was one of those shock knockdowns, and you do get them sometimes where you catch them and your body just goes into shock very quickly, and that's what happened. I don't think it was a slip. I think he did get caught there.
And into round 12, Chris. The grit of Wood. Leigh Wood again makes it a third TKO victory in a row. People were saying he was down and out a couple of years ago. He's gone on to win world honours, and the fight in the heart. Ben Davison cornering him as well. Obviously, had Fury for a long, long time. Great trainer, deserves all the credit that will. But yeah, puts him through the ropes. A barrage of punches, Chris. He falls out of the ring, definitely blacked out, and. The scenes after that, Ben Davison on top of Wood, I think they couldn't believe it. What a comeback. And what a main event from Eddie Hearn as well, because a lot of people are saying, the Matchroom cards on DAZN aren't very good. Well, that certainly delivered last Saturday night.
Much more so than Ankalaev and Thiago Santos did on the weekend, Stuart. But what a fight. But then, these are pioneer fights, and I think people who are looking up to being boxers, they need to watch these fights and really understand the love and the beauty of the sport. I love it. And, you know, the more we get into it and the more I analyze it and I watch it with you since we started this show, because obviously I was more predominantly MMA than I was boxing, but the more you throw at me, like we're covering this, and then I spend, you know, all day watching things and watching the fights, I fall in love more because I love the beauty of it.
It's that British ethos again, Chris. I don't care what they say. They bring it. It's just something. There's just something majestic about British fights and British fight nights. Obviously, Conlan comes out with the full Irish, you know, flag and all that, but he's actually from Belfast, so you know. But that's just one of the things. But I just dare I say it, like Chris. I just don't think you don't get better fights than the British fights sometimes.
Well, you got a hell of a good transition into the next, you know, all around the fights we're going to talk about, Stuart. We need to talk about British fights.
Absolutely, it is chocker block, and yes, I think
do you want to move on? No. I go to the VT, Stuart. You picked one out.
Oh,
before.
yes. Matthew Macklin, obviously working for Matchroom, was working for Eddie Hearn. Obviously, was under the Matchroom umbrella as a fighter. Matthew Macklin. So yeah, does a lot of commentary. He wasn't on the comms this weekend. It was Darren Barker, you know, the ex-fighter on comms, but he does do the commentary as well. So yeah, Matthew Macklin's thoughts on the fight. Macklin's thoughts there. So it's been debatable. Yeah. Afternoon, lads. Hope you're both well. All right, Isaac, you pumping iron down in Norwich there. Right? Any views on the Eddie Hall fight? We ain't mentioned it yet. So obviously the big man 4 and Eddie Hall, Chris. I think we will discuss that later on. I think after UFC, we'll go back to the boxing for a bit.
Are they fighting this weekend?
If they are. I got the date wrong as well. I didn't realise until I'd looked through, like last minute. Stuff's been coming up. So yeah, we'll cover that a little bit, Isaac. Send us some stuff in a bit on that, and we'll get your views in on it as well.
I do agree by his ending there. It has slipped by. I do watch Eddie Hall on YouTube, so I must have obviously that must have slipped by. Too much excitement for UFC London, I think.
Isaac, remind us in about half an hour, 35, 40 minutes on that one, so we can give it a quick go over. Yeah, because we will cover that. And I want Eddie Hall to win as well, so there we go. But yeah, Chris, Matthew Macklin there, the slip came up again. I do think I'm of the same thinking as you. He's caught in there. No two ways about it.
It's one of them, isn't it? I mean, I'd imagine a boxing ring at that point would be extremely slippery. So it probably could be a combination of both. Maybe he got caught and he slipped at the same time, but it's quite hard to judge, I suppose, as a ref, and you call it. But you know, he called it as a knockdown, and that's what it is, isn't it? At the end of the day, tough shit.
Absolutely. So we look forward to see what happens with Leigh Wood going forward. No, that's his 3rd victory in a row. Fantastic from him. Michael Conlan is okay now as well. He was back up the next day after going to hospital, so we're thankful.
Wants a rematch?
He's okay off the back of that. Yes, does want a rematch. That might happen. Eddie Hearn being Eddie Hearn, he might just say, yeah, we'll have the second fight. You know, maybe another 4 or 5 months, but we will see. Chris, are we moving on to UFC London at the O2? The first card in the UK since 2019. Bloody COVID, Chris. Hey.
Well, we were supposed to have had Woodley and Edwards, weren't we, as the main event before COVID hit, which would have been good for Leon Edwards because he needed a fight. He's been out for a while. Yeah.
Chris, who's put together Volkov's height there? He's bigger than that.
Oh, what have they put? Oh, they put 6'3".
6'3". He's 6'6", 6'7", Volkov.
I just realised actually they've got Tom Aspinall.
Reach of 80 at 6'3".
that's not bad reach. That if you think about it for a 6'3".
I mean, we say about John Jones, don't we? At 6'4", and he's got that gargantuan reach at light heavy. Yeah, but yeah, it's a minor thing. We know how tall Volkov is, don't we, Chris?
Yeah, I like. You caught that then. Then I looked at it. I don't think Tom Aspinall's 6'5". I think Tom Aspinall's about 6'3". I think he's got these the wrong way round. But I think Volkov's about 6'7", isn't he?
He's big for now. Like he's not far behind Stefan Struve. He was gargantuan.
Yeah, Stefan Struve was massive. Listen, this fight is all what Tom Aspinall needs. He wants minutes. He wants a fighter that's going to push him and challenge him. And everyone else he's fought, previously, haven't really challenged him, and he's got them out there quite quickly. But, you look at like Spivak. He beat Spivak back in September, Stuart, which was supposedly meant to be another UK card, but obviously they couldn't get over here, and it ended up being in Vegas, if you remember rightly. But Spivak is the win against Spivak looks really good on him. Andre Arlovski, he beat Andre Arlovski back in February, and look, Arlovski now, Stuart, he's on a fighting winning streak. Sorry, go on.
With Spivak as well, he's just beaten Greg Hardy, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he destroyed Greg Hardy in a fight. It was a couple of weeks ago. No, but yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago.
You can't always base that, can you? Oh, he's beating him. So then, but
the win looks good. The win looks good.
It absolutely his credentials with that. When you see fights after, absolutely. Chris, can Aspinall do it? That's my first thing. Some people are saying, oh, he's been rushed in, but no time like the present, Chris. I think he's going to rise. He's going to rise to the occasion. I think he's going to do it. I think he can beat Volkov. Although Volkov has been in with some, fantastic fighters.
He's been in with the best. He's been with a lot of the good fighters. Cyril Gahn, Curtis Blades, Alexa Overeem. He's been with them, with some of the best in there. Don't forget, he's a former Bellator heavyweight champion as well. So, and he fought in London last time and won. So he knows what it's like to be in London on a UK card with, a lot of British fans cheering and booing for everybody he wants. So he's got that under his belt, and that's a checklist for him. Aspinall hasn't. Don't forget, Aspinall hasn't fought in front of probably more than 1,500 people. If you look at when he went through Cage Warriors, and I've been to Cage Warriors before, Stuart, it's not like massive amount of fans, but you got to understand that Tom Aspinall, when he's fought for the UFC, Stuart, hasn't fought in front of people really. So this is going to be, another sort of mountain for him to climb as well. I think people are not thinking about the pressure it's going to be for him, to walk towards the octagon, and he's going to see 20,000 people, screaming and cheering for him. But yeah, for you to say can he do it, he can most definitely do it, but he's got to be careful. Volkov's a very good boxer, very good at combinations, very good at mixing his kicks up as well, and he's got a hell of a nasty kick up the middle as well for a big guy. He's got long legs. So Tom Aspinall's going to have to sort of use his fast boxing. I mean, he's fantastic at his boxing, Stuart. Really, really good. He talked, I think the other day about, training with Tyson Fury in his 20s, and that helped him. And he said that, Tyson Fury changed the sort of outlook he had on the fight game. So that, he's got that in his cap, hasn't he? He's trained with a big guy. And I'd say Volkov and Tyson Fury are probably around the same sort of size, in height-wise.
Yeah, on the weight and the heights, absolutely, yeah.
But obviously that was a long time ago, so you can't really say, oh well, he's
Aspinall is the betting favourite, by the way. I like to go and get the odds and stuff. He's minus 130, but it's very tight because Volkov is plus 110, so it's very tight, as you can imagine. Then on our UK odds, he's 23-20 Volkov, and then Aspinall is 20-23 the favourite on the UK odds. So not much on the bet in there. Not much sway in it, is there? Well, it's not very wide.
If you're going to bet for like something like this, you're going to have to bet on the finish, aren't you? And how the round's going to go. I think that's the only way you're gonna make money. Obviously, bet responsibly. But yeah, Volkov's he's very, very good. He gives Cyril Gahn a really good fight. And Cyril Gahn likes to come and use the outside and use a lot of chopping kicks. And Volkov sort of, he pushed him all the way, and they went 5 rounds. But Cyril Gahn's just very, very good, very light on his feet, very much like Tom Aspinall is, Stuart. It's very light on his feet. But I'd like to see Tom Aspinall use his ground game in this. And neutralize the size that Volkov has, because it's going to be very difficult for him to get inside Volkov and let go of some strikes. He can, but he's going to have to take one, I think, to get inside Volkov to land a few himself. I'd like to see him use his grappling. He's fantastic. We all know about his dad and his jiu-jitsu, so he's got that under his belt. We've seen him against Arlovski. Didn't even really step into the rear naked choke really to put the proper pressure in. He still managed to do it with half a leg out. So if he can do that to someone as seasoned as Andre Arlovski, wonder what he could do to someone like Volkov if he can get him down. And I know from jiu-jitsu, Stuart, they always say that the longer armed people, the longer leg people are much more easier to sort of submit than a shorter guy, because there's obviously a lot of limbs there, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah.
But I wouldn't count him out saying he wouldn't knock him out. I'm not going to count out he doesn't blitz Volkov here and really, really put his foot down on the gas and go for it. But I'd like to see him get some minutes. Let's see him in the third and fourth round. Let's see what Tom Aspinall's cardio's like going, into the later rounds. Because when he starts to move up these weight divisions, and you've got the likes of Curtis Blades who's going to come at him and wants to wrestle with him, or you've got Cyril Gahn, who also very, very similar in a way to how Tom Aspinall's sort of style is. Maybe not as fast with the striking, but very technical. He's not going to find that these guys are going to go away as easy, are they? Like I say, Tai Tuivasa, these sort of people he's going to have to face if he wants to get to Ngannou and stuff like that.
I mean, Ty's on a 5-fight win streak now. I mean, Aspinall, within the promotion, it's 4 wins, isn't it? But he's on a 7-fight win streak as well. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at the guys that are on the streaks, they're right up there, aren't they?
Knocking at the door.
Not to make it about Tai Tuivasa, because we've obviously got to focus on this, but the guy he's on a run as well, and they're young and hungry, Chris, aren't they?
And he just knocked out Derek Lewis, which isn't the most easiest feat going.
No, absolutely, and likeable. Going back to Tom Aspinall, Chris, if they ever needed someone in UK terms to carry on what Bisping's done, I would say this is the guy to do it, isn't it? I know we've got guys at lower weights coming through, but in the now, Aspinall, as the true poster boy, I know, there's a lot about him on socials and BT and stuff like that. His name's getting there. We need someone, don't we? We need someone on that pedestal on the top level
to carry the flag, as you would say.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys who are coming through the UK, which you'll see on this card, that are very promising. And, could eventually become a champion or could eventually, challenge for a title in their divisions. Tom Aspinall can definitely do that. But, Volkov's the first step to a lot of, harder fights to come.
Absolutely.
Volkov's very good at what he does, but Volkov isn't naturally a knockout artist. When you start fighting knockout artists, then you've got them mixing it in with the wrestling, because there's a lot of wrestlers, don't forget, in this division, Stuart. Obviously, then we've got Stipe coming back. We've got John Jones making his debut at some point. Because I'm hearing Stipe and John Jones isn't happening, Stuart. I think they're going somewhere else with Stipe. Not sure what yet, though.
Was there any more on that as to why that's occurred, or is it quite sketchy at the moment?
That's very sketchy. I tend to think that might go maybe Stipe and Tai Tuivasa, Stuart, because that would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense.
Yes, I'd be up for that, Chris. I'd be up for that. Heavyweight. It's just ridiculous. What a time to be a heavyweight. To be a heavyweight as well, man.
It works so stupid, because don't forget, Blades and Durkus are fighting next weekend. So you could really match up the winner of this to the winner of that. And then it's another good step for Aspinall if he can get past Volkov, and say Blades can get past Durkus. Blades and Aspinall would be quite an interesting fight, because it's different styles again. Blades is predominantly a power wrestler. He takes you down, he beats you up. But, he has shown some good signs of striking, but, he's not notorious for knocking you out, but he's very good at grinding out the results. So maybe that would be next for Tom, because if Tom can pass a wrestler at heavyweight, great, because in the next lines, it's all strikers. So this is a good breakout point for Tom Aspinall. If he can break out here,
absolutely.
The world's his oyster.
20,000 passionate, UK MMA fans that have been starved of a UFC show, Chris. It's going to be rabid. It's going to be raucous in there. I think he will. I really do believe he's going to rise to the occasion. I know I do get some predictions wrong, so I don't want to tempt fate here, but I really do believe he's going to do it. I think he's going to really do it. I think, he can keep his head. He won't get too overawed by the occasion.
Well, like I said, this is the first time he would have fought in front of a lot of people. So, you got to sort of take the pinch that he might feel a bit of it, walk into the octagon, but as soon as that cage closes, I think everything goes out the window and he focuses on Volkov.
Very calm.
I want to push you. I want to push you to a round, though. If you want, obviously, you going for Aspinall. Round and how? You always do this to me, so I'll pull it back at you.
Well, I'm just thinking, I don't want to third. I'm going to go third round. I don't know. I think he might sub him. I think he might sub Volkov in the third. That's what I'm thinking. If he can cope with the striking, and as you said, if he can get inside, get him down, which is going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him. But I think maybe another submission in the third. I'm going to go the third with a sub because he's got to be careful on the feet, as you've said. You know what I mean? He has to be careful, doesn't he? What he's doing with Volkov. But yeah, I think a third round sub. What do you reckon? What are you veering towards on this one?
I think this might go to a decision. And
going
again,
going the full fight might be worth putting some money on that.
I think because this is going to be a hard fight for Aspinall. Aspinall again could blitz him, and I could be like, right, okay, fair enough. I want to see Aspinall in a bit of deep waters. I want to see how he comes out from the challenge. I want to see him, in the later rounds. I want to see how that cardio goes for someone so light because he moves so well, like a middleweight. They say, don't they? He's very elusive for a heavyweight. So I'd like to see him go into 5 rounds. And I want to see these sort of things because, as I said, as he pushes on in this division and he fights the harder fights, Stuart, there might be times he can't get the guy out there, and he's going to have to sort of bite down and show his heart through fights. So I think this would be a good start for him. But he could blitz him, and I could be like, right, okay. But then Volkov could catch him as well. I don't want to take anything from Volkov because Volkov's coming off victories as well, Stuart. He's not.
What a resume! He's had a lot of fights, a lot of cage time for Volkov.
Yeah.
We can't just diminish Volkov's chances. It's just one of them. Are we moving on to the co-main? You've got a little bit more to add on this one.
We're getting comments through.
Right, perfect.
Oh wait, no.
Comments?
I think Isaac's. Yeah, he's mentioned Eddie. Well, Isaac, we'll get back to your comment a bit later on, my friend.
Yeah, we'll remember that and just give us a heads up so we don't forget. We might forget. You see, Arnold Allen is back in action, Chris. But Dan Hooker is coming down. He's coming back to 145 after a 1-3 in his last 4 at lightweight. But Chris, he's been in with the best at lightweight. In fairness to Dan Hooker, what a huge co-main this could be fight in the night. I think, Chris. I really do believe it. Also, Arnold Allen hasn't been able to train in Canada, has he, because of the COVID protocols?
That's
so
right.
I've been hearing he's been training in Suffolk, but he's also been going up to Birmingham for camp as well.
Yeah, with Team Renegade with Leon Edwards and Jai Herbert. So he's had a lot of good fights to train around. It's a shame Faraz Sahabi wasn't there for him because I think Faraz Sahabi is one of the best coaches out there. Very good tactician when it comes to making a game plan for a fight. But this is a challenge for Arnold Allen. Not being able to do his usual training in Canada with Faraz and everybody there. But this is an interesting fight. I want to see what Dan Hooker's going to look like come weigh-in because it's a lot of weight to cut, Stuart. And it's not an easy fight to be thrown into it. Dan Hooker doesn't duck people. He takes everybody on. As you say, he's fought the best. He's just probably fought the future of maybe lightweight in Makhachev. It's a big fight, and this is an even bigger fight for him coming down here because Arnold Allen Stuart's been on fire.
He's been incredible. Like he's been so good. And he's multi-faceted as well, Chris.
Yeah, and don't forget, the people he's beaten. You got to look at the legends of the way. Even Nick Lentz. He's very good back in the day.
It's a name, isn't it? Absolutely, unquestionably.
Gilbert Melendez was a good one, Stuart, and he pieced up Gilbert Melendez.
That was a passing. That was a passing of the guard, if you will. It wasn't it. I know Gilbert was, on his way. He's older now, but yeah, he needed to win that. It was a tricky one. Every task they put at him so far, he's really acquitted himself well, hasn't he?
What I like about Arnold Allen is okay. They say he hasn't got knockout power, but if you look against Sadiq Youssef when he fought him, well, actually, I find the date here because I don't think it was that long ago. Oh, actually, it was. It was the 10th of April. That's quite a while long ago, actually. But the Sadiq Youssef was on a good fight winning streak, and he was pushing all the way up to where he was. Arnold Allen's just naturally gifted. I think his athleticism is, and also I don't know if you know this, but his brother and his dad are strongmen. So
I didn't know that. You've taught me something there.
So I mean, he's got that frame obviously because he must work a lot with he used to obviously work with his dad and his brother. The thing is with Arnold Allen is he's going to have to watch the reach of Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's a rangier fighter. He's going to have to get in and strike without getting caught. But again, it's hard for a smaller guy to get into a taller guy because they're going to have to take again. It's one of them where you're going to have to take a punch to get inside to land your own. But I think he can use the takedowns on Dan Hooker. I think you look like how Michael Chandler dispatched Dan Hooker. It put him on Dan Hooker on the back foot. Obviously, I know Michael Chandler's wild and he was throwing hooks left, right, and centre. But obviously, he caught Dan Hooker and then obviously finished him on the ground. Arnold Allen sort of got to take that sort of blueprint and bully Dan Hooker and not have Dan Hooker take the centre. Is keeping him on his back foot and pushing him around the octagon. Not like, say, chasing him, but putting him on the back pedals. Dan Hooker is a very good striker. He can take a punch. You just have to look at the Dustin Poirier fight. That was an immense fight, and they both threw everything at each other. But I think he can use his takedowns here, utilize the grappling side of things, and he beats him that way. I don't want him to sort of go into a fight, be a bit lazy and get caught by Dan Hooker because he can easily get caught by Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's quite crafty. And he's got a fantastic gym and trains with Izzy Adesanya, and we all know how good he is. And so he's got a lot of good people to train with. But I just think I think I got Arnold Allen now. If I'm really pushing
Dan Hooker minus 115 favourite. Arnold Allen plus 105 again, very tight as the main event. It's very tight on the betting. Arnold Allen 7th in the featherweight division. Obviously, Dan Hooker 8th at lightweight. Yeah. So and he's 8-0. Arnold Allen, isn't he, within the UFC 17-1 total. So it's perfectly poised. I do feel this could be the fight of the night. I've got a funny feeling this is going to be the one. Got a feeling in my bones, Chris.
Listen, he's very technical. They're both technical fighters. They're very good. You might see Dan Hooker use his kickboxing a bit more in this fight and utilize, his long reach and his kicks. If he can use that, then it could cause a bit of problem for Arnold Allen trying to get in if he's pushing out the push kicks or the leg kicks. And Arnold Allen's going to have to sort of eat them and come through them. But the power of Arnold Allen, I like Stuart. If he gets hold of you, he can take you down and hold you down. And he's got a few submission wins under his belt as well. It's all for Arnold Allen again, like Tom Aspinall. This is another lift off. I would have preferred to see Korean Zombie versus Arnold Allen. I think that just explodes, isn't it? It's like a fun fight. But maybe that could be someone he can get after this fight. It's an interesting one. This could go either way, really, because Dan Hooker's been in there. He's experienced. He's a wily veteran now. Arnold Allen is still learning. But I'm going to go for Arnold Allen, and I'm going to go for a finish, and I'm going to go third round finish for Arnold Allen.
Okay, if you like a bet, you don't want to bet loads and loads and get in trouble. Take Chris's tip on that one. I might follow suit on that one. I might put a little ACCA, a UFC MMA ACCA on Chris.
Yeah, you might as well.
But your thoughts might change between now and Saturday. So just keep that locked in. I'll keep that one locked in. Absolutely. Anything more to add before we go on to Paddy the Baddy?
No, we're moving on to Paddy the Baddy.
We are moving on to Paddy the Baddy. Pimblett won his first fight. Came through a bit of adversity in the first fight, didn't he? And he got the win in the first round. But he's taking on heavy hitter Kazula Rodrigo Vargas in his second fight in the UFC, Chris. Paddy Pimblett minus 225 favourite. Vargas plus 188. So the widest of the odds so far are the ones we've covered. But yeah, 1 and 2 Vargas, Chris. So yeah, he needs a win, man. He needs a win. Both need a win, but I would say the pressure's on Vargas here. But what do you see with this one? How do you see it going?
I'd like to think I'd like to see again. I like to see Paddy, like Arnold Allen. I like to see Paddy Pimblett use his ground game because he's got slick grappling skills. Stuart, Paddy the Baddy, really good in Cage Warriors with him, and I think that he could utilize that in the UFC and definitely in this fight. He could get caught by Vargas. Vargas is, he's quite a heavy hitter, as I put in the banner. So I don't want him to get too excited. He did get caught by Fenderini in his first fight, but he shook it off, and he came back and cleared Fenderini out quite quickly after that. He's very good with his boxing, is Paddy the Baddy, but he can get overly excited. I'm falling in love with those boxing skills, and he's been caught a few times in Cage Warriors when he's fallen in love with his striking. His mainstay and it is his execution, should I say, is his grappling, Stuart, because he's very good. You could see Paddy Pimblett be nuts here and go for a flying triangle, a flying armbar. He's that good. He could probably catch Vargas with it and finish him. I'd like to see him do something like that. Get to see a bit of diversity in Paddy, and people can take a bit more notice, thinking, oh, maybe he's just a typical British banger, but he's not. He's very, very good at what he does. Vargas, like I say, he's a heavy hitter, sure, he's very good, but I think Paddy Pimblett's got definitely the grappling over him, and I think that to me thinks if it goes south on the striking sort of thing with Vargas and Paddy, I think Paddy can just take him down and submit him. And I feel like this is going to be maybe. I think if Paddy's the way he's talking, he wants a quick finish and a statement. This could be maybe a round 1 and 2 finish for Paddy if he executes his game plan.
What would be next for Paddy with a victory? Where does he go next? Is he encroaching on the 15 sort of area in the division, or is he going to be a bit further up, or is he still not quite in the periphery of the 15 area of the rankings?
I think he's probably a bit away from maybe in the mid 20s, early 20s, maybe. He's stated that he wants to fight certain people on his current contract, Stuart, and in the next contract he wants then to fight the bigger people. I think what he's saying is executing his money. So fight the people on the contract you're on now, and then when he gets to the bigger people, you sign that new contract, a bit more money. And it makes sense, and it's clever thinking. Whether or not that pays off for him is a different thing. I don't know. I'm still unsure if he can become a champion in the UFC or even challenge for one. He's in a very difficult division.
What about when he's putting the weight on when he's not in camp? Surely that's going to affect him. He likes fast food and stuff like that. Could that be detrimental to his? No, I know that, but he's an elite fighter and he's getting into the elite now, into the world class area of the lightweight division. Does that bear a factor, or because it's months before, is he all right? Or could that be a factor what he's putting into his body? What do you think on that? I'm just trying to get a different view on it.
I think it's these fighters are deprived, aren't they? A fight camp, and naturally they'll have them to weigh in, and they have to certain foods and drink a lot of water, sweat it all out. You can't blame them for having a Mackey's or a BK. Once in a blue moon. Yeah, he does eat a bit more than what normal people or normal fighters do, but that's his relaxing, and that's how he sort of transitions from fight camp to just Paddy the Baddy. I think he'd be all right. I think because he does it so early, so quickly after a fight that once he gets into fight camp or a fight announcement, that goes out the window then, Stuart, and it's just pure training, eating healthy, cutting weight.
What about the hotel altercation as well? Obviously, Jai Herbert's opponent, Tapura. Yeah, what did you make of that, Chris? He said that basically Tapura shit himself. He had 5 people with him. I was on my own. The old hand sanitizer bottle got launched, didn't it? Yeah. What do you make of that? Is that a fight that could be set up? Obviously, we'd have to see how Jai Herbert gets on, which we're going to talk about later. But obviously, in the same division, is that to set something up further down the line, this altercation at the hotel?
Very possible. It's very possible. I did see Tapura throw a punch at him. I don't know if he connected because it's like you couldn't see that much in front of people. Yeah. But Paddy's just being Paddy, you know what I mean? Winding him up. And I think maybe he has targeted him as the next fight. And, the way that, Tapura's a very good fighter and Jai Herbert's got a lot, another big fight on his hands, but we'll get to obviously Jai Herbert when we do. But
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe he is, he's planning ahead and you can't blame him. But if he's reacting for a sanitizer hitting on your head, I wouldn't recommend him sort of biting at everything Paddy does because, certain people are very good at mental warfare. And if you bite, I feel, it's not always like you're weak or anything, but you fall into their trap, don't you? We've seen it time and time again.
The mental game, you could be physically the best, couldn't you? But yeah, it would have a bearing. But yeah, we look forward to that as well. That's a huge, huge fight. Paddy Pimblett, he stayed with Cage Warriors, didn't he? There was always talk about him for years.
Turned him down twice, Stuart.
Yeah, he stuck to his guns. I think he's going to encounter problems when he gets into the top 15 area. I still maintain that. But Chris, you said he has got credentials. He's got a good ground game. So we will see with Paddy Pimblett. Let's see how he gets on with Mr. Vargas. And moving on, Chris, in his first fight since the decision loss to Gilbert Burns in September 2019 is Gunnar Nelson, who takes on Takashi Sato. Sorry, not Takashi. Takashi Sato, Chris. I'm not too familiar with Sato, so you're going to have to tell me what he's all about. But firstly, Gunnar, mate.
Very, very. Listen, Stuart. One of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the UFC. Okay, he's had a few losses and he's been knocked out. But he's fought some really good fights, Stuart. Leon Edwards, Damian Maia, and everyone thought he could have beaten Damian Maia, but Damian Maia's like a next level jiu-jitsu. He's been in there with Brendan Fratch. Brendan Fratch, when he fought him, people are thinking he was the next big thing, and Brendan Fratch was a big.
I remember. Yeah, there was a lot of hoopla about Brendan Fratch. I do remember at the time when he was coming in.
He was a big guy as well, and he uses striking, and he's light on his toes. He's a bit like obviously the training with Conor McGregor over the years has sort of helped him with his striking. He's not fantastic striking, don't get me wrong, but he's very snappy. And he knows how to sort of throw a jab to set up a takedown. It's just one of them. He's when he's got to the sort of the harder people, the more up the sort of the rankings, the Gilbert Burns, the Leon Edwardses, the Damian Maias, he's fallen flat. Rick Story, if you remember, Stuart, beat him on a split decision.
I do remember that fight. Yes, I do remember that with Rick Story. Yeah.
And Rick Story was going for a bit of a renaissance back then as well. So, it's very hit and miss with Gunnar Nelson. And I think being out for a while could cause a bit of problems.
Has he had injuries or did he take time away? But that's a hell of a long time to be away. So I'm assuming there was injuries, but you fill me in on that one. Why he's not been around since September 2019?
For us, he's just had a lot of injuries. He has just recently signed a new multi-fight contract as well, Stuart. So maybe I think maybe he had quite a lot of knee injuries back in his early days in Bama and stuff like that. So maybe that's just sort of it's just caught up in the
yeah.
But Gunnar Nelson's a very interesting fighter, Stuart. I like how he moves. I like how he sets up. I like how he sort of integrates his jiu-jitsu with the bit of style with Conor McGregor's sort of stance. Not obviously he's fluid and is. I can't think of the word. I can't know. It's gone out my head now. But his striking's fluid, but it's not like the Conor McGregor where it's very in and out and it's very slick. I think the word I was looking for. But he uses it to bait people in, and then he goes for the takedown. And once Gunnar Nelson's got you on the floor, Stuart, there's not many people really can get from underneath him. He's been up for a while, and it's one of them where you look at it and think, can he be the same guy? It's quite a lengthy layoff. The game's changed a bit. You've seen with a lot of fighters who've had a long time off don't always come back the same. I think the fight with Sato is made for him, though. I think.
A bit of background on Sato because I'm not familiar with him at all. What can you tell me about him? What's his sort of style?
He's a mixture, Stuart. He mixes up. He's got not bad. He's not got bad striking power. He's won a few fights on TKO. I don't know if you remember Ben Saunders, Stuart. He was an UFC mainstay back in the day. Came back for a little flourish after being in Bellator. He knocked him out with TKO. He's knocked out Martinez with TKOs. That was in Pancreas as well, though. I forgot they fought in Pancreas. He knocked out Jason Witt with a TKO. But he's got a few losses by submission as well, Stuart. It makes you think, well, this is tailor-made now for Gunnar Nelson because Gunnar Nelson's, a submission king. But I looked at his record. Earlier on, he was finishing fighters with submissions in Pancreas, and then I don't know, maybe he fell in love with his striking, and then he's knocked a lot of people out. Not like night knockouts, more TKOs, but he's not fought much in UFC. I think I'm looking at it now, Stuart. He's only had four fights in the UFC. So this would be his fifth fight in the UFC. But I feel like this is quite tailor-made for Gunnar Nelson to come back, get a bit of confidence, get that rust, in the octagon, and have his way. I think he'll take Soto down, probably maybe first, second round, and I think he'll have his way with him. And that'll probably be an end with a rear naked choke. I think that's how it'll finish. And then welcome back, Gunnar Nelson.
We look forward to the return of Gunnar Nelson, fan favourite, especially in Europe. So, yeah, we do look forward to the return of Gunnar Nelson after, nearly 3 years, like 2.5 years out of the game, man. So, yeah, it's good to have him back. And we're moving on to a fellow Evertonian. We won't say anything football related, but we know Molly McCann, heart on a sleeve, Evertonian. Watched the documentary, the BT Sports film. One last night, amazing her story. It was great. It was a real good documentary. But yes, Luana Carolina is coming up for her, and Chris, 62-inch reach to a 69-inch reach of Carolina, but she has more striking success than Molly McCann.
Yes, but Carolina's very difficult. She's quite a well-gamed fighter. I think Molly McCann's going to be up against it. She's very fast. She's very elusive with her striking as well. She hasn't run many by TKO submissions. Most of her fights have come through more decision wins, but she's been very good. I can't remember which fighter it was, Stuart. I don't know if it was maybe the last fight, the fight before. She jumped on Joe Rogan's his lap after she won the fight. She was, sort of wrapped her legs around his hips. But no, she's very game, Stuart, and she's very, very good. Another one that's, only just sort of broke into the UFC. She was on Dana White's Contender Series. She won that through unanimous decision. She's only had one loss in the UFC in a record, and that was by a knee bar. I can't see Molly McCann knee bar in Carolina, if I'm completely honest with you. Molly McCann, if we're going to that now, game, absolutely brilliant. Love her personality. She comes to fight. You saw in her last fight, head movement, or she was just taking a punch and screaming, "Come fucking at me." Typical Scouser, and that's why we love them so much. But, she come from another one that came from a boxing background, Stuart. Very good with her hands. But again, it's the grappling side that worries me. If she can't get off what she wants, and, she does chase down her fighters, walks them down more so, I'd say, tries to back them up and throw her combinations. And she's very good at her combinations as Molly McCann. And she's very heavy-handed. But when you're fighting someone, and Carolina has got takedowns, Stuart, they can duck, take your legs, and have their way with her. Listen, I like Molly McCann. This might be a step too far for her in this one. But I want to see a win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and go, I don't want her to win. But I feel like Carolina's got this one, Stuart. I think she's just a bit more elusive, and she can mix the striking with the grappling. I think Molly McCann is still learning that aspect of straight takedowns and using the striking as well, or striking then taking and using the takedowns. She has had some takedowns in her UFC career as Molly McCann, and have been quite strong and powerful and dominating sort of takedowns when she's used them. I just feel like this fight might be just one of them where it's a step too far for her.
We look forward to this one as well. A minus 130 favourite is McCann, but a plus 110 for Carolina. Obviously, I think a lot of this is because they're at home, because it's a UK card as well. I think that's had a bearing on. I think that's had a bearing on some of the betting odds. But yes, we look forward to that one of fellow Evertonian Molly McCann. And if you get a chance, if you've got access to BT Sport, watch the documentary on her. Fantastic. It's an hour long. Really good insight on her career. And she was nearly cut as well, Chris, wasn't she? Mm-hmm. At one time, she was very close to going. Adversity, she'll tackle adversity if she needs to. And she's got her full fight. She's got 4 fights on this contract as well, hasn't she, Chris?
Well, as long as she doesn't lose 3 on the bounce, Stuart, she should be okay.
Yes. Are we moving on to Paul Craig, Chris?
Yes, we are. There are.
Nikita Krylov, Chris, the Ukrainian. And yes, a 3-fight win streak for Paul Craig. And yet 7-4-1 in the UFC. Krylov 12-6, Chris. How do you see this light heavyweight bout going?
You know what? I like Paul Craig. He came into the UFC. Didn't know much about him. Lost his first fight to Tyson Pedro by TKO. Kyle Roundtree KO'd him, Stuart. the big sort of the win on his record. Well, one of the big wins is against Ankalaev, who fought the weekend against Thiago Santos, who though is primed next, for the next push for the heavyweight title. Sorry. So he's got that victory over him. Obviously, in that fight, he was getting beaten by Ankalaev, but he's so slick on the ground. Paul Craig, his triangle chokes are absolutely phenomenal, and he can whip them out very, very quickly. And that's how he got Ankalaev. Ankalaev got a bit lazy in the guard, and he just whipped that triangle out, and boom, we literally shoot within 5 seconds of the fight finishing, and he's whipped it out and won the fight against Ankalaev. He's fought Shogun Rua twice. It was a draw, which I thought was a bit dodgy because I thought he beat him in the first fight in Brazil. But it's just one of them. He obviously fought him again, beaten by TKO. Jamal Hill, saw him against Johnny Walker. Looked very, very good. He broke Jamal Hill's arm with an arm bar and then moved it into a triangle choke and just unloaded with elbows and punches in the guard whilst he had Jamal Hill in the triangle choke. Listen, there was rumours he was going to retire at the age of 35, Stuart. He's come out now and said he's not going to.
Well, he's on this streak now. He's again, it's adversity, isn't it? In the earlier fights, it's like he's really conditioned himself and learned from where things have gone wrong. Which we've seen time and time again with fighters. So carry on. He can carry on into his 30s, like well into his late 30s, maybe 37, 38. But I'm not surprised. With you telling me that.
Well, look, the light heavyweight division at the moment is quite open, isn't it? Jan Blachowicz is obviously still waiting for him to get rematched. I can't remember who they put him against now. I think it was Rakic, wasn't it? Waiting for that to sort of get announced again. We've got obviously Glover's facing Petreka, which is a massive fight. You've got a lot of people to sort of. It's a bit of a roam, isn't it, at the moment? Because we don't know. As far as we know, Glover could get destroyed by Petreka in the title fight, and then Ankalaev could get the next title shot and beat Petreka. It could become a game of dominoes at the moment in light heavyweight. We haven't got the John Jones or the Usmans in there, have we, that take control of that division and bat off all comers. So it's quite open in that division. I'm interested to see. Nika Krylov, sure, it's no joke, though. Sure,
I know enough about him to know.
Very, very good.
He's had like 18. Yeah, he's 18 fights in with the UFC now. 12-6. Not bad. Not to be sniffed at, is it?
But he's not fought in over a year, and he lost to Ankalaev, Stuart, which is great. It's an interesting one. One beat him and one lost to him.
We'll always use those parallels, won't we? And then anything could happen. But when you fought the same guy, sometimes he's got the edge, but not necessarily. But we look forward to that. Are we moving on?
We are. It will be.
Got a comment there? No,
Jai Herbert.
And Ilya Topuria against Jai Herbert. Chris, this is very wide on the betting. Very wide. Minus 475. Jai Herbert plus 350. And obviously, Ilya is on a free fight win streak. He's 3-0 in the UFC.
Mm-hmm. And he's young as well, Stuart. Very young still.
Yeah. From Georgia, but fighting in Spain, isn't he? He does his camps in Spain.
I don't know if you saw him against Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall, as we all know from the Ultimate Fighter, he likes to go for the heel hook, doesn't he? He likes to spin and grab you. Topuria just caught him doing that. Got him on the floor and just reined in punches and KO'd Ryan Hall. He's had 3 fights, obviously, in UFC, so they're not against massive opponents. This is quite a different opponent. Jai Herbert is a very good striker himself. But I don't know. This fight could go one way or the other. If Jai Herbert comes game like he was in Cage Warriors, like when he fought Trinaldo before Trinaldo caught him, he was doing extremely well. He showed off his striking skills. Masakano, he obviously fought him in his second fight. Not an easy fight. So Jai Herbert's actually had to fight some really tough opponents. Trinaldo, Masakano, Topuria. These are quite big fights for Jai Herbert. I've listened to him today at the media scrum, and he seems really up for it. I don't know if lightweights. He's not built for lightweight. I think he should drop down a weight. Personally, I think he'd be better in a featherweight. If I'm completely honest with you, I think he's just his body frame is better for featherweight than it is lightweight. I think he look. I'm not going to say he's weak because that's stupid, but I just don't think he's strong enough against people that can take you down. Or maybe
Can he utilise the 8-inch reach advantage? You don't think that'll be a factor?
No, most definitely can do, Stuart. Jai Herbert in Cage Warriors was dominating and he was brilliant and used his striking fantastically. You know, like I said, it showed it off against Trinaldo. He just got caught, which, you know, it happens in this sport. You know, and then Masakano is a very difficult fight to come back after losing your first fight by KO. And Masakano is very good on the ground. So he's been tested. Maybe now going forward after having these 2 fights going into this, he's a bit more experienced. He's understanding how the UFC game works, the fighters he's fought against. And you know, we've shown it against this last fight. And in his last fight, he won by KO and showed off his striking, Stuart. And it was crisp and it was really good. I'm interested and I want Jai Herbert to win because I'm a big fan of Jai Herbert.
Absolutely.
But
we want the UK guy to win, man. There's no question of that. It's a tricky. It does seem to be a tricky one. You know, Ilya is on that.
Poirier, he's a monster. Topuria, you know, he's a monster. He's
3-0, man. But you know, again, it's a big one for Jai Herbert because he's 1-2 in the UFC, isn't he? So he needs it. Bit high pressure, but hopefully he can rise to the challenge. Are we moving on?
Yeah, I believe it's Matt Grundy versus Makwan Amirkhani.
As you said, Chris, there's high stakes with this one, isn't there?
Yes. Basically, obviously, Mike Grundy won his first fight. He's lost his last 2. I think Amirkhani's been. I think he's on a 4-fight losing streak at the moment, Stuart. I think Mike Grundy's got the better wrestling. I think he can out-wrestle Makwan quite comfortably. But I like Mike Grundy's striking. I think he's very underrated. But I think he feels the pressure sometimes when he can't take a fighter down. I think he panics a bit in his striking. If he just settles down, calms, and uses his striking and sets things up, I think he knocks out Amirkhani without even having to use his grappling. I think Mike Grundy is very good, but you know he has to win this fight. Otherwise, I think he gets cut. And I think the same for Amirkhani as well. I think he gets cut as well. Can't do five losses in a row, Stuart, and stay in the UFC.
No,
I know Dan Hardy had his, but Dan Hardy was sellable.
But then he came back, didn't he, off 4 losses, and he won 4 in a row. He won 4 in a row after Dan Hardy, didn't he? After he had all them losses in a row, he came back, didn't he? He was like, as you say, Dan Hardy, especially for the European UK portion of UFC, it was a big draw, wasn't it, for years?
Mike Grundy's got a very good record. Look there in front of you, 15. You know, 15 fights, 12 wins, 3 losses. It's a respectable record. He needs to sort of calm, settle down, use what he's good at. But I think Amirkhani's got a weak chin. I think he's been knocked out a few times now. And I think Mike Grundy can get the win.
Yeah. Matt Jarrett's just asking, is the event at the O2? Yeah, it's at the O2, but you won't be able to get tickets. There's not a chance. They've sold out. They've ended up in the hands of the wrong people again. So yeah, they could have sold that arena out. God knows how many times. But yeah, it's on BT Sport. It's on BT Sport. The event, that's going to be the only way of getting, because 20,000 tickets for an event, which is, you know, the first since 2019. It was always going to be the case, wasn't it, Chris? And the card's ridiculous of the fights they've got on it. You know, amazing. But yeah, Jack Shaw, Chris. Anything else?
No, I was going to say that they have. Adam Cattrall did come out and say today that they have provisionally booked Manchester and Liverpool for later cards in the year. So if you can't get to London, Manchester and Liverpool, you know, could happen this year, and fingers crossed it does. And we get 2 events. So, you know, you're more likely to be able to get to another event if you can't get to this weekend.
And I'm looking forward to this one, Chris. Our fellow Welshman is back. The undefeated Welsh wizard. I'm going to use what Mike Angus calls me, normally doing commentary. He is our very own Welsh wizard in MMA and combat sports. It is Jack Shaw, 15-0, Chris. He's got so much talent. But yeah, Timur Valiev, I don't know too much about him, mate. But he's had a fair amount of fights there, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he's just in the hands of a superstar like Jack Shaw. What the Welsh Khabib, the Welsh GSP, they call him. I think this is another one. I think Jack Shaw's just going to use his grappling and bully him against the cage. Which is, I like what Jack Shaw does. He doesn't immediately go for a takedown if he doesn't have to. He can get you up against the cage. And he's really strong, Jack Shaw, and he can bully you up against the cage. And I don't mind his striking as well. I think that's evolving along the way of his grappling. But I think this is Jack Shaw. He'll bully, take him down, and finish him straight. And I wouldn't be shocked if it'd be a rear naked choke victory for him. And I think it'd be that simple for Jack Shaw. I think he needs better fights, personally. I do think he needs better fights because I think he's that good. I'm gutted we didn't get Usman Nurmagomedov because he's dropped out against Jack Shaw twice now, which I don't know why. I don't know if it's been said, really. I would have loved to see that because I think that's a test because he's unbeaten and they're both very close to each other in the rankings and they're both very good at grappling, as you know, with the Nurmagomedovs are, Dagestani monsters.
Absolutely. Yeah. What a test that'll be.
Yeah. What a test. Maybe we can get that book the third time. Let's not have a Tony Khabib sort of scenario.
No.
Just move it on if you can't. But
absolutely,
Jack Shaw all the way, mate. I'm a big, massive Jack Shaw fan. I think he's another one who's the potential of becoming a champion or a title challenger down the stretch. I'd say.
I'm being trained in Wales as well. It just goes to show there's some good fight, good camps, good gyms in Wales, in the UK as a whole. But yeah, great to see. He's down there in South Wales doing his camps. And Chris, we're moving on to Durden and Makhachev.
We are, Stuart. Listen, I've had to do more research on Makhachev. I've heard things about him. I haven't watched him in Brave, but I've heard lots of good things, Stuart. He's Dagestani, so he's got that pedigree. He's got that wrestling pedigree already.
He's got that Dagestani water inside him and that fight, as we know, the same Dagestani area. Look how many fighters are coming through.
Wrestle Bears.
Absolutely.
Listen, he is very, very good from what I've seen. He's 20. I think he was 27-0 in his record. So he's had 4 professionals, and I think it was 20 odd amateur, and he beasted everybody. And looks very, very good, highly touted, and he can sell a fight. Stuart, a bit of gift to the gab. He called out Cody Dundren through Twitter. Wanted this fight for his debut in the UFC. Cody's not a bad fighter, Stuart. This could be a bit closer. The sort of break coming into the UFC for the first time, the jitters, you're in front of the crowd. I think he gets it done. I think this could go to decision. I think, I think this, I think the pressure with Makhachev might just tell a bit. But I think he'll win this fight quite easily. I think maybe if you push me, I think he might maybe lose a round to Durdren. But I think he wins this overall. I think he's going to use his wrestling. He's not a bad striker either, Stuart, for a Dagestani. Well, we call him British actually now, Stuart, because he carries the British flag. So we'll forget he's Dagestani. He's British. We'll claim him just in case he wins. Just in case he wins the title, Stuart, he's British.
We look forward to seeing this guy obviously going, further on the line, Makhachev. And I know you've been sending me footage. I need to watch some more footage on him, absolutely. But yeah, highly touted. Another person coming into the promotion. So yeah, all good. We look forward to seeing how he gets on over the next, few fights that he's got. And are we moving on to Corey McKenna and the battle-tested Elise Reed, Chris?
Yep. Corey McKenna's not fought for quite a while. I need to get that up, actually. I did have it on my notes. Yeah, 18 months ago, Stuart.
Wow.
She had
a long time.
She had a fight booked last summer, and it fell apart. They couldn't get it back together. So she's been out for quite a while. Listen, she's she's a sturdy fighter, Corey McKenna. Very good at striking as well. I would say very good. She's still learning the craft. She's still young, and she's got a lot to learn. But Elise Reed, Stuart, battle tested, as you can see, her age. She's maybe not had as many fights as Corey McKenna, but she's been in and fought in the UFC a bit longer. She's that American grappler, and it's one of them where if Corey McKenna can't get off the shots or back her up against the cage and does all the dirty boxing and get back paddling around the octagon, it's going to be a long night because Elise Reed could take her down and hold her down and sort of grind the victory out that way. But, she's well, Stuart, and, has been well for ourselves. You want to get behind Corey McKenna, and hopefully, she can rise to the occasion herself. Actually, really.
Very, very, very young, as you say, 22.
Yeah. Still learning the craft. She's still learning the craft. Yeah. In a good way, you'd want every single Brit to win on this card, don't you? And Gunnar Nelson, but he's a sort of Irishy, Icelandic guy now these days, isn't he? But But there's a few fights here, like I think Jai Herbert, Corey McKenna's. These could be the ones maybe we might lose on the night. But she's still younger, and I think a loss won't do too much for her. Like damage-wise, I think she can go away, learn her craft, and hopefully she can get more fights booked. Because it's a shame that she got off to a winning way, and then she hasn't fought since, and it's been 18 months. These sort of people need to be in the octagon a bit more, and I think the British fighters need to be in like more American cards, not just British cards.
You need that, yeah. Absolutely, you need to travel, don't you? Like, Molly McCann's travelled, doesn't she? It does help you being over in the States at the big events as well. The whole thing isn't the week leading up to. So, yeah, we look forward to another fellow Welsh lady. I can't call her a Welshman. Welsh lady, very young. But, yeah, big test for her against Elise Reed. But I'm sure the 22-year-old will have a good showing. And Nathaniel Wood, Chris, who is opening the show against Vince Morales. And yet Nathaniel Wood, again, another exciting fight that we've got here on the British shores. But yeah, give us a little breakdown, Chris.
Listen, I like Nathaniel Wood. Trains hard. And he trains with Brad Pickett, doesn't he? As we all know. He's a former Cage Warrior bantamweight champion. He was unlucky against Casey Kenner. Stuart and Casey Kenner gave Dominic Cruz a really good fight not long ago. But I thought he beat Casey Kenny. I thought he beat Casey Kenny in his last fight, but he lost the unanimous decision. I thought it was a bit of a joke, but you know what judges are like, Stuart, in this day and age. He's had a loss to John Dodson, but John Dodson's one of those sort of fighters. Don't forget John Dodson beat TJ Dillashaw back in the day, so it's not too much of a bad loss. Yeah, but he's a good fighter. Nathaniel Wood is not bad on the striking. He excels more on the ground. He's got a lot of submission wins, and in him also in the UFC, he's won by Darcy, he's won by rear naked choke. I think if Nathaniel Wood calms down, doesn't go straight for it, just collectively takes apart, I think he gets this, and he opens up the win for the British fighters and gets everyone booming. Just think if Everton score the first goal tomorrow against Newcastle and everyone goes crazy, that would be like Nathaniel Wood when he wins, opens the UFC card for the British fighters, and everyone gets behind it. Then everyone's ramped, wanting let's get a flawless victory, like the Irish did back when it was Brandao versus McGregor, and every Irish fighter went on that card. Let's hope that every British fighter wins on this card, and they do it emphatically and really impress. That's what I want. We get behind our British fighters. We can be a bit biased. It is what it is. But these fights are set out for our British fighters to come and bang and win, make a statement. For some of these fighters, need to make a statement. I'm excited. 6 o'clock start, Stuart.
I know.
Fantastic.
I know. Even obviously with some of the shows in the States, they have had them on earlier, haven't they? The Apex. I know Vegas. It's the 8-hour differential. But yeah, it's even earlier, isn't it? It's great. It's great. They have adjusted scheduling, haven't they, a little bit, to be fair, when they've done shows over in the States. But yeah, 6 p.m. start, and it's just fight after fight, man. It's so stacked, and I just hope Tom Aspinall can beat Volkov. That's my first thinking. Hopefully he can do it. I'm sure he can. It's a huge test. But yeah, what a card they put together for this one. And if you're lucky enough to have a ticket and you're there in person, amazing. I know tickets
enjoy the day.
Hands, yeah, be there early. I'd be in there from the get go. You're going to be in there from the start. There's a lot of empty seats early on, but that might not be the case with this one.
No, I don't think it will. It's been too long, hasn't it? And they put a really hard.
They've been starved of a live event. So yeah, but if you haven't got a ticket, BT Sport for the show. Absolutely. I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait, Chris. Are we going to talk about Eddie Hall and Thorpe? Because Isaac...
Yeah, I put it in there.
Isaac, we did not forget. The Eddie versus Bjorn fight is just a bit of fun. Money is going to charity, all for show grudges. Yeah, I agree. It was all, the grudges. I don't think there is a grudge there. But come on, these boys are heavy. 2 bloody barrels smashing each other. Chris, I think Eddie Hall's going to beat him.
I don't think it is. Listen. I feel like this is going to be not an embarrassment, but it's going to be, Thor's lost a lot of weight. Thor isn't the same size he once was. If you look at Thor now, he's more in the shape of a boxer now at heavyweight. Eddie Hall, I love Eddie Hall. Don't get me wrong. I love his personality. I love watching him on YouTube. His insight to what powerlifter is absolutely fantastic. And I'm not really big on it, but I like how he explains things. What having to eat and what they had to do. But this is going to be 2 guys. If they don't land quickly and knock you out, I don't know how many rounds this going for. Does Isaac know how many rounds this fight's for?
I'm sure he can tell us. I don't know. It's crept up on us. There's been so much talk about it for so long. I literally today I was like, shit. It says Eddie to win, heavier, smaller. Just needs to stay clear of the other dude's reach. I think this is what this is Chris's worry. I think.
And starting the cardio, can a guy built like Eddie Hall? Last more than 5-10 minutes. And I'm not knocking him. I've watched a few of his boxing on his YouTube channel, but Thor has actually gone out and boxed. Yeah, he's got that experience. He's gone out and boxed. I don't think Eddie Hall's actually gone out and boxed anyone. To get a bit of experience under his belt. It's an interesting one. You want Eddie Hall to win, obviously. Another Brit,
of course.
But I do like the Mountain. Mountain. Thor was in Game of Thrones, and he didn't really talk much in that, but he killed a few people. I think this is going to be one of them where they'll go in hard, Stuart, and then they'll be blown out their asses 5-10 minutes into the fight. It's a lot of muscle to carry.
Bjorn has arguably been the more dramatic, with the 6'8" behemoth losing 55 kilograms in just 2 years.
It's got us.
Hall told Muscle and Health, for whatever reason, looks like a skinny dog on heat. For me, it's just stupid. It's supposed to be the heaviest boxing match in history, and he just looks ill.
No, because he's done smart, Stuart. You can't carry all that weight and go into a combat sport. You got to think of all that muscle and all the blood flowing into the your arms because you're throwing them so much. They're going to end up like they're carrying cars on their arms. They'll be that heavy. And then what's the fight going to be then? Slow old men throwing windmills, and it'd just be awful. Really, what they could have done is they could have put Jake Paul in there, and then that would have been a lot more entertaining because I'd want them to hit him and kill him.
It's free to watch the fight as well. Segi.tv, so it's SEGI.tv. Watch on Fight Night. The live stream is set to kick off at 8:30 p.m. GMT. We've got UFC on.
Yeah, I think it's a stupid time they've done this.
But it's like their fight is on at 1 a.m. Dubai time, but obviously with the time difference. It's silly.
All eyes are going to be on UFC, yeah.
Both fighters will be wearing bigger 12-ounce gloves as opposed to the usual 10-ounce gloves for heavyweights. But when you've got sledgehammer hands like they have, I suppose they are going to need the big 12 ounces.
I think Thor's going to beat Eddie. I really do. I think because he's been in another experience, and Eddie hasn't. Eddie's been training in his house, and he's got his own boxing ring in there, and he's been training with people.
There will be judges. There will be judges at ringside. No shit. And knockouts are permitted, and the R was in capitals, to accentuate the fact that knockouts can and will occur, and it's not set up.
Well, you don't want no knockouts here because then it just becomes even a farce of a fight, then, doesn't it? Really? I think Thor beats him, Stuart. I think Thor's gone out and got experience. Eddie's been training, in his gym, in his house. I think you can't learn to fight in boxing unless you've gone out there and done it. It's all well and good punching pads with people, all having a couple of rounds with a few people here and there. Unless you've gone in there and done it, and Thor has actually gone there and done it, hasn't he? It's not looked fantastic, but he's gone and done it. And I think experience wins that. Unless Eddie Hall somehow knocks his head off, which these two big guys, he can.
There is no undercard on Saturday night with all the attention on the main event. Did Isaac have another comment then? Or is it the same comment?
He just says that basically you get all the wrong predictions.
We've got all our predictions with the boxing wrong, but still come on at the. I've had a shocker with predictions recently. I hold my hands up. But yeah, that's just one of them things, isn't it? But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people watching that, but it's on the same time as the UFC. Isaac, you're going to watch that ahead of the UFC, aren't you?
You better not. No, don't.
Chris's descriptions are funny. There you go. You've tickled him there.
I hope I haven't. Listen, I'm going to watch in UFC. My focus is on actual fights that matter. Okay, the money's going to charity, and well done, fantastic. But yeah, I'm not interested in Eddie Hall versus Thor. That might be something I watch on a Sunday after Crystal Palace knock us out the FA Cup, and I'm in tears. Something bollocks like that. Something easy to move into Monday with. I'm not I'm not going chasing for the fight now.
Just closing out on the theme of boxing, obviously you said about boxing schedules, just to go back to it, Kiko Martinez and Josh Warrington in a rematch. But obviously Kiko Martinez won the world title beating Kid Galahad, which he wasn't expected to do, and he stopped him in the 6th round. Josh Warrington has come off a loss, and then there was a no contest when he fought Lara again, because Lara, I think there was a clash or something, and they had to call it off. Josh Warrington is back in the title picture, though, because he was undefeated before Lara. Wasn't expected to lose to Lara. So, yeah, they're going at it. Again, it's at the Leeds Arena as well. It's in Warrington's backyard. Kiko Martinez, to his credit, he's gone into backyards, even though he's the title holder. I mean, he's had a lot of fights abroad. So, yeah, battle tested. But I think Josh Warrington, he needs this. He needs to get back the world titles that he's had in the past year. We look forward to that. That's the 26th of March. So, we'll cover that a little bit next week, obviously preview that. We've got Triple G coming back in April as well in Japan, as we said last week. We've got Fury and White on the 23rd of April. BT are already doing their promotion. There's adverts banding around already for that one. We've got Errol Spence versus your Dennis Ugas as well at welterweight. We've got that one coming up as well. That'll be a good fight. Yeah. Savannah Marshall as well in a tune-up fight before she goes in with Clarissa Shields, April the 2nd as well, Chris. And we look forward to that. Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields, that'll be for all the gold at middleweight.
That'll be a good fight as well.
We know the hatred. And when Tyson Fury said he'd rather spar with Savannah Marshall than some of the people he could be sparring with, it tells you all about Savannah Marshall's credentials. But it won't be easy, but she has got power. But Clarissa's a good boxer.
She's slick, very slick.
So, yeah, man. Anything else to add before we go?
No. In closing is I hope everyone enjoys UFC London. I hope everyone, takes it in, because it's been so long since we've had a card at 6 p.m. So long since we've had a card that's full of UK fighters. Didn't know that, I know Vegas one back in September had quite a few on it, but this is primed, and I think as soon as Nathaniel Wood gets that win, Stuart, it's going to set off everything, and it's going to be brilliant. I'm looking forward to it. It's been nice just to chill out and watch a card where I'm not up till 6. Okay, hold on.
I've just the rules for Eddie Hall and Thor, because we didn't know, did we? The fight will be held over 6 3-minute rounds, like many novice fights in boxing. So yeah, 6 3-minute rounds for the gentlemen.
So they'll be blown out their arse in the first round.
Oh yeah, the cardio, the lack thereof of cardio. But yeah, back to UFC London, because I've just jumped in.
No,
it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure everybody who's watching us and listens to us will enjoy it as well. Just take it in, innit, and enjoy having a card at 6 o'clock instead of finishing a card at 6 o'clock in the morning the following day. Take it in and enjoy it, and let's hope all the Brits do us all proud.
We'll have all the fallout next week on episode 51. The UFC London, fantastic, 20,000 strong in there. The atmosphere is going to be electric. We can't wait. And yeah, as you said, BT Sport, as always. So watch the whole show. It's going to be amazing, because you can't get tickets, but that's just one of the things. And it's just stacked. Chock to the nines, Chris. But yeah, this has been episode 50, the half century of episodes, man.
That's great. And like I said to you at the beginning of the show, that's flown by. We started this in a lockdown. And yeah, obviously everything's back to normal now. But crazy to think we're still going. I didn't think we weren't, but 50 episodes is a milestone. Everything's doing well. The views are doing well. Spotify went off on one, and with listens last week, Stuart, mentally proud of where we've started and where we are now, and long may it continue.
Absolutely. This has been Powered4.tv Big Fight Weekly. We'll be back next week, as I said, with all the fallout from UFC London. What a card they put together, Dana and the crew. And we will be back next week, and we'll be previewing as well. There'll be lots of previewing going on. And we will see you next week, Chris, won't we?
Yes, we'll see you next week.
Right.